Hey everybody, good to see everybody. I just wanted to do a quick video about, a couple of years ago it was in the news that one of the French colonizers, he made a depiction of Muhammad, and I think the Islam guys, they unalived him, and they take it pretty seriously. In their tradition, they do not depict Muhammad, right? But why? Why? Why is the real key? And, you know, conversely, why do other traditions freely depict their deities, right? Or saviors or prophets or whatever? Buddhism, everybody knows what the Buddha looks like. Jesus, there's a high controversy about what Jesus actually looked like. Was he Arab? Was he African? Was he Caucasian? And this is a big topic due to the cyclical nature of humanity. You literally have reincarnations of prophets. So there literally has been an African Jesus, an Arab Jesus, and on a Caucasian Jesus. But the contention always wins over the reasoning capability of religious people. Like I've said before, religion was never meant to be taken religiously. It's more of a philosophical, historical, and scientific perspective that when we adhere to this mindset, we gain a lot of benefits. And so when we look at, or when we examine almost the obsession in the West and the East, save for the Islam guys, we have this obsession of depicting deities, right? And not just deities, but depicting everything, like the television or even comic books or pictures on the internet. All of this, because of how the deep psychology works in our mind, has some effect on our consciousness, the way we perceive our consciousness, the perception of our own personhood, our families, and even our enemies, what we perceive our enemies to be. And so the old Muslim guys, they knew about the deep psychology and the kind of dangers in depiction, because just like I go over in previous videos, when we watch a scary movie and the protagonist is getting chased by a monster or whatever, our hair goes up on our skin, or our heart starts beating faster because we're getting into the movie, right? Quote unquote. And the reason that happens is because our brain, our unconscious mind, literally does not detect a difference between the fiction that we're visually receiving on a screen or comic book and it actually happening to us in the real world. Our brain literally thinks it's happening to us. And so when you get in the Western cultures that are dominated by Jewish faiths, Christian faiths, and even Buddhist faiths has a large hold in the Western markets, when we see what's going on in the TV and all of this type of stuff, these guys know the exact same information that the old Muslim guys know about the importance of how depiction affects our subconscious. And when we look into the medical literature available publicly from universities around the world, we see that chronic exposure to television, to news media, to social media causes depression, anxiety, agoraphobia, lots of different idiosyncrasies, lots of different psychological malformations, what I've talked about in my previous white papers. The effect of a long-term stress-inducing news programs where There's not much joy to be found on the news. That's an intentional thing. And, intentional in the sense that it's the controllers of the Jewish and Christian faiths, and to some degree Buddhist faiths, who are contributing and participating in the Hollywood, the CNNs, the Fox News, the corporate malfeasance, the subjugation of humanity through these contradictions that we always go over in my previous presentations. Humans are not taught to really identify why and how, or even what the television is, or comparing ourselves to others via social media, or consuming things like zombie movies, or very violent, hyper-violent content like Game of Thrones or South Park, or all of these things that kids are growing up with, the video games. All of this stuff has a profound effect on our unconscious mind, on our true identity. Our conscious mind is not our true identity, and we go over this in my yoga classes that I teach online and in person. So again, the depiction of anything, not just deities, the personification of certain things, has a profound impact on our happiness, our ability to focus, our ability to follow through with a plan of action that benefits not only ourselves but others, like in a successful business or a successful endeavor of some kind, when you formulate a team or whatever. Because all these people who are addicted to television, even deifying, the story of Jesus or Black Jesus or or Buddha, the different types of Buddhas, right? There's the fat Buddha, there's the skinny Buddha, the one smiling, the one with pursed lips. All of those things have a subtle impact on us as a people. And everybody is super obsessed with television and the flavor of the month, whatever the news cycle is. And this contributes to our humans' kind of, apathy, just talking or complaining about the situation instead of literally embodying the solution. Complaining about the Republicans or the Democrats or the liberals or the conservatives, instead of embodying a transcendental mindset that combines both mindsets, the good things in both mindsets, and then illuminates the perspectives of others who are trapped in those mindsets. Depiction does this to the humans. When we see a picture of Donald Trump, for instance, and people will get triggered, or when you see a picture of AOC and some people will get triggered. Each person has a similar level of solidarity, love, compassion, acceptance, despite what their political labels are, or their ethnic labels, or their geographic labels, or what have you. And we kind of lose sight of that because of this obsession with the television. And we also have to ask ourselves, why is the television nearly free? Why do you get the Obama phone? Why do they want you plugged into this depiction stuff, right? And this depiction stuff, it's like a magical spell that they cast upon the people who are unaware or who are unread regarding the deep levels of human psychology and how our unconscious mind perceives things that are being depicted as if it's actually happening, and this jacks up our cortisol. I mean, it does so much. I could talk about this forever. But the main point of today's video is to be aware of what we're consuming. Even if we think we're doing a good job or we're on the right side of history or whatever, we've been doing this for far longer than anyone can even admit. So clearly, the normal pathways, quote unquote, that we are given as a consequence of depiction are simply just illusions. We think we're doing a good thing, and yet the world looks like how it does. And the main critique that atheists have for religion is that, oh, well, they talk about all this stuff, but then they don't, they're not very generous, or they don't whatever. But the true aspect of religion, the reason why it's a powerful thing, at least in the ancient times, was because of this idea of embodiment, embodying the solutions, not going to Walmart and supporting China. Instead, going to the thrift store or the farmer's market, reputable people who you can give your money to, your hard earned money, and then that money remains in a regional economy rather than getting sent digitally overseas to China or, India, in which these are the places that are being taken advantage of, on a social and economic level. And then, of course, the Westerners call this economics, but it's far more than economics. It's a type of economic slavery, just like wages, like wage slavery, like Bernie Sanders always talking about, oh, we want a $15 minimum wage, and yet people are saying that even $15 minimum wage is not a living wage. This is just a wage slavery. It's a new kind of slavery, And then this depiction stuff is a new kind of mental slavery in which we're constantly fed this kind of false dichotomy, aggression. And now the kids, especially right now, and young adults and people my age, they're having a hard time with their emotions, depression. Sometimes they have a hard time with violence or, violent outbursts, emotional outbursts. They have a hard time controlling their emotions in their brain. And coming to terms with how our brain receives information, and these depictions can help to dislodge this quality, in people who have a hard time controlling their mind. And then focusing, when we become independent of that depiction spell casting, we become more competent and more able to identify a plan of action, for like a small business or whatever, or starting a family, finding a husband, finding a wife. So yeah, just a big topic. If anybody has any questions, schedule an appointment on my website, sapanada.org. I have a lot of publications about this topic as well as video presentations. So good to see everybody. Hope you're all doing well out there. See you in the next one. Thank you.